Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got a question about depression, or actually someone who is depressed and has written me, and I want to answer them via video and give a little bit of encouragement, because I think it's real easy to get down on yourself, to get discouraged, and to feel depressed because of that. Sometimes we all need a little bit of help, a little bit of motivation, and hopefully if I can brighten this person's day by showing them that I care, I think it's worth me taking the 5 or 10 minutes and you taking the 5 or 10 minutes to watch it.
Tired of pushy recruiters sending you LinkedIn requests for jobs you have no interest in? Tired of blasting out resumes into the dark? If so, you should check out Hired.com. Hired.com flips job searching on its head by having top employers like Facebook come to you after you fill out one simple application. You also get your own job coach to help you on your next job search. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend you at least fill out the application. Just go to Hired.com/simpleprogrammer, and when you get hired with Hired, you'll get double the normal sign-on bonus for using that link.
So, this is from Richard, and the title is Depression. He says, "Hello, John. I'm writing you because I'm really depressed, and I hope you can help me. I'm depressed because I have a pretty low intelligence level, and I'm socially awkward. I notice this in pretty much everything I do. It's a fact, and I'm self-conscious about it." I'm not sure if those things are a fact. So far, the grammar and the sentence structure, just reading one paragraph of what someone writes tells me a lot about them. And so I'm gonna disagree with you, Richard, but let's move on here. Now I'm doing a Java internship. I honestly don't know how I got to the 3rd year of college, and I think I'm gonna fail. I have to do 2 big papers, but I really hate writing, and it takes me a whole hour just to write 20 bad sentences, in parentheses. I just don't know what to write. Because of your videos and these papers coming up, I tried to start a new life. Unfortunately, a colleague made a comment about how dumb I am. I skipped the gym and writing you because of it. I know I shouldn't care about what my colleague thinks and shouldn't compare myself to him, but I feel like I can't control these feelings. I hate being me, slashy unhappy face. By the way, I love your videos. Keep it up. Sincerely, Richard. So Richard, thank you. First of all, I appreciate you emailing me. I appreciate that you care enough to say that you love my videos, even though you're going through some hard times here. But I would really caution you on the way that you're describing yourself and the words that you're using, and just how powerful, I want to tell you how powerful your mind is in convincing your subconscious of who you are, and how powerfully who your subconscious believes that you are influences your actions and what you actually become and what you do. I've talked about this a lot of times, but it's really, really important to have the right image of yourself, the right positive image of yourself, to envision yourself as who you want to be in order to make changes in your life, in order to grow, in order to evolve, and in order to control your actions and your behaviors. So I'm going to point you to a video here that I did about, I think let's do the breaking addictions or addictions one, because I talk about that a lot. I think I talk about in that one about this rubber band and how it snaps back. And I've done a couple of videos on this topic, but essentially, you're depressed, and you're saying that you've got a pretty low intelligence level and you're socially awkward. Now, you probably don't have a very low intelligence level, probably not compared to the rest of the world. I mean, there's definitely going to be people, right? I can't tell everyone, no, you don't have a low intelligence level, but to some degree, I've met a lot of people that are way smarter than me, okay? That they have a way higher base level intelligence than me. Now, does that mean that I can't compete, that I'm handicapped? No, most of the time my answer to that is I'm going to outwork them, and I'm going to be wiser than them, and so I'm going to basically make it so that that disadvantage that I have is not going to hurt me that much. So just being, having a low intelligence level, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Now, I seriously doubt that you do, just from reading your email and the way that you think, and the fact that you are doing Java, that you are a programmer, that you are your 3rd year in college, and because you like my videos. obviously you must be intelligent if you like my videos. But no, kidding aside, I really don't think that that's probably the case. Now, as far as being socially awkward, right? that probably is the case, and that may be the case. And I got news for you, buddy. Most people are socially awkward. Most, like 90% of people, honestly, to some degree, are socially awkward. Now, some people more so than others. So again, that's not something to really be that ashamed of or that depressed about or feel that bad about. But I would say this about both of these things. Stop calling yourself low intelligence. Stop calling yourself socially awkward, right? It's important to be honest with yourself. I did this video about looking in the mirror, and I do think it's important to take an honest assessment of where you are, right? And not compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday and yourself, and that's how you grow. But at the same time, okay, you can't be overly harsh on yourself. You almost have to say, like, part of the thing is, like, if you're going to take an honest self-evaluation of yourself, you have to be accepting of who you are now and not punish yourself for being what you are. I mean, you cannot help but be anything but what you are. But what you can help is where you go from here, what steps you take to grow, to move forward, to become the kind of person that you want to be. And that's what's really critically important here. Again, your base level of intelligence, trust me, it's not, I mean, you're not mentally handicapped, okay? Let's say you had an average IQ or slightly below, you don't have slightly below average IQ, you're probably above average. But let's say that you did, right? Or that you're socially awkward or more socially awkward than other people. It doesn't matter. Those challenges can be overcome. The intelligence thing, I don't know if you can increase your raw intelligence. I don't know if it really matters that much, to be honest with you. But the socially awkward, you could totally overcome that. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge. But again, you don't need to beat yourself up about it. I always say to change the verbiage, right? To change the way that you talk to yourself. And don't say I'm low intelligence. Don't say I'm socially awkward. Instead, say this. Say that in the past I have felt like I've had a lesser intelligence, or in the past I've felt like I've been acted kind of dumb, or haven't been as smart as my potential is. In the past I've felt awkward in social situations, right? But that doesn't define you, right? It doesn't define who you are now. It's really important that you change those words, because when you say I am socially awkward, your subconscious is like this little child that's listening that's like, oh, I see. Okay. And it's being influenced by you, and that is influencing your behaviors and your self-assessment of yourself. I'll point you to a book here. I've recommended this many times on this channel. It's called Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Really good book that really goes into this and tells you that you cannot act essentially in a different way than what your ego believes that you are, right? So deep down, what you believe that you are is going to define how you act, and you're not really going to be able to act differently than that. So the cure to changing someone's actions and their behaviors is going to be deeply rooted in changing that self-identity, which is really going to start with the verbiage that you say. So again, it's good to be honest. It's good to have an honest assessment of yourself. I feel like yours is not honest. I feel like it's a little too harsh, okay? And that's really not going to be helpful. But in that honesty, you still have to have that acceptance. You have to accept where you are now. If you beat yourself up and you guilt yourself and you feel bad about where you are now, to some degree, there a little bit of that is going to influence you and motivate you, but more so it's going to harm you, and it's going to prevent you from growing forward, because it's okay. You could only be what you are right now, right? But if you choose not to make steps to improve, then you could beat yourself up. That's something that's bad, right? That's the only thing. There's tons of areas where, there's plenty of areas in my life where I am not where I want to be, and I could totally beat myself up, or I could do something about it. And I've had some great breakthroughs lately because I've recognized where I have sometimes pretended, like not just to me but to the world, pretended to be something that I'm not. And I had this weakness, and I kind of sort of tried to pave over it or cover over it. And then I dealt with it deeply, recently, and I said, wow, there's something here that you actually have to, let's see you actually put your money where your mouth is. Let's see you actually step up and do this thing, or, and I've done it, and now I feel good about it because I actually did that. So that honest self-assessment was where that started, but I never beat myself up. I said, hey, look, John, you're representing something that you're not, so Let's go. You're either going to stop representing it, or you can actually become that, make a choice, but where you're at right now is totally okay. And sometimes I think what ends up happening, and just looking at my own psychology, the reason why I got to that spot was because I sort of lied to myself, right? I sort of said, well, it's not okay to be what I am, so I'm going to beat myself up and pretend like I'm something else, and that's not a good place to be, because when you're doing that, you can't actually grow. It was actually what was stunning my growth, but once I overcame that and realized and was honest with myself and said, look, you know what? You're not there, but it's okay, right? It's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up, but let's get there. Then I got there, and it didn't take very long. I wasted a lot of time before then, not getting there. So as far as your Java internship, I want to address that real quick. You got to your third year of college, and you think you're going to fail again. Change that thinking. If you think you're going to fail, self-fulfilling prophecies happen a lot. What you put in front of you, where your eyes are looking, that's where your feet go, right? If you've ever heard someone say that, and it's so true. You got to set your destination. You got to set your sights on succeeding. Believe that you're going to succeed no matter what, right? Oftentimes I hold on to ridiculous beliefs about how damn successful I'm going to be, and sometimes I pull off the most crazy shit just because I have such a strong belief in myself. And you've seen people do this, right? Where you're like, why you're crazy to think that you could possibly do this, and then they do it simply because they believe it so much that they bend other people's reality and somehow they make it happen. So be that kind of guy. Don't be the kind of guy that, like, you've also seen the kind of guy that always fails, always messes up, no matter how well set up the deck is. He figures out a way to screw it up, and it's because he believes he's going to fail, he believes he's going to suck, and so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So don't let that hurt you. Instead, use the benefit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I would strongly encourage you to do that. Same thing I would say, just with, you say you hate writing. Don't say that. Like, right? So much of what what is causing you problems is just verbiage. It's just the way that you're talking to yourself, the way that you're describing your problems. Writing might not be your most favorite thing in the world, but there's no reason why you can't like writing. I used to, quote, hate writing, but now I enjoy writing, right? I've done a lot of writing. And, if you have that kind of attitude, is so important. It really is so important. So as far as a colleague, we'll address that real quick. Obviously, you already know that you shouldn't care what your colleague thinks. I can't believe that your colleague actually said that you're dumb. A lot of this could be, again, there's this kind of victim mentality, right? And it's not like, I don't feel like you've got the entitlement part of it, but sometimes people can detect if someone is really acting like a victim, and that person gets victimized. It's sad, but it's true. And so if you're projecting this kind of, I'm dumb, beat me up, treat me poorly, then people will likely treat you poorly. Really, people are looking to you. There's sort of this unconscious type of thing that goes on where the way that you perceive yourself is in general the way that people are going to perceive you, right? So if you perceive yourself lowly, even if you don't say anything, if you just have that perception, other people are likely to perceive you lowly. Like, this is one of those really important social dynamic concepts that you have to understand. Is so when you present yourself to someone and you present yourself in a confident manner, there's a whole bunch of nonverbal cues, a whole bunch of things that are consistent with that make them believe that you have a higher value, and that will make them treat you that way. And so it's really, really important for you to make sure that you have the appropriate self-talk, that the things that you're thinking about yourself, the way that you talk about yourself in your mind and out loud, and the way that you write and present to other people, that it is positive, that it's something that can grow. And the thing is, like, that I've said not to compare yourself to other people, because there's always going to be someone smarter, better looking than you, more muscles, that's more accomplished, has more money, all of those things, and that goes for me especially too. And so if you're using that as the metric, you're always going to find ways to beat yourself up, right? But instead, if you're saying, look, how am I growing? How am I progressing? And then you can really find pride in yourself. You can really find pride in what you're doing, the steps that you're taking, because it's all about you, and you always have control over that thing. You don't have control over what other people do and how you relate in comparison to them in a lot of areas, but you do have control over what you do, and you can be proud of that, and you can really actually take pride in the improvements that you're making, no matter where you are in life, right? I mean, wherever you're at right now, I mean, you're in college, you got your whole life ahead of you. You know, I did this video on how my life changed in 7 years. You could have an even more incredible life-changing experience. It's up to you right now. I mean, these are critical moments. These are some decisions that you've got to make in your life. You got to say, look, am I going to be the kind of person that is just like feeling sorry for myself and is trying to get other people's sympathy and empathy? Or am I going to be the kind of person that's going to stand up and say, look, I don't need this shit. I'm gonna blaze a trail. I'm gonna do what I can. I'm gonna live my life to my fullest. You know, I'm gonna get up, and I don't care what other people think. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and where I end up at the end, that's where I end up. But I'm not gonna live my life knowing that I did not give it all as much as I could. That's the key. That's the thing that's so important. So change your self-talk. Okay. You're awesome. I know that you are. I could feel it, right? I'm looking at your picture. You look like an awesome dude. I know it, okay? But tell yourself that, okay? But don't bullshit yourself at the same time, and make an honest assessment and just accept where you are right now, but strive to improve. And then when you make that comparison, compare yourself to yourself, and don't give a shit what other people think. Honestly, don't. Just go and do you. And you know, at the end of the day, what are the stakes, really, right? You're gonna give it the best shot, but all that is gonna matter, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, is gonna be that you gave it what you had. You know it. That's when you're gonna feel good about yourself, is when you know that you did what you could, right? There's days where I've had huge successes according to the world, and it's not a success to me because I didn't give it all that I could. I didn't put my heart into it. So you put your heart into it. You do it. When you're writing, man, you might not like writing. That's fine, but do the best that you can. Believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it, right? And that's what's really going to matter. All right. I hope that helps you. Honestly, Richard, you know, I appreciate you. There's plenty of other people that do. You've got so much time, so much life left to live, and now's the moment. Now's the time to turn that around. And it really, I promise you, your life will be night and day different in 5 years from now if you change that attitude, if you change that mental self-talk. Just make that, that needs to be a high priority in your life. Because you've got so much potential, and you're going to squander the potential. I promise you, if you tell your subconscious that you're a loser, that you're a failure, that you're not smart, and all of these things, because it will believe it, and that will affect your actions more strongly than anything else in your life. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, if you haven't subscribed already, definitely click that subscribe button below, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.